Hello everyone, while we are all eagerly awaiting the new episode of the amazing digital circus, I decided to make you happy and found 95%, if not all of the leaks and deleted scenes that have appeared since the pilot episode was released. I'm sure you haven't seen most of them. I hope you enjoy this video because it's really interesting and funny, so I suggest you watch it to the end to see what is not available to the average viewer. Before you start watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and write a comment. And here we go. And the first deleted scene is the pilot episode intro. What we got in the end is very different from the original idea of the authors. It's worth mentioning that the early version looks duller, but that's not the main thing. Remember what the original intro sounds like. It is very cheerful and funny, as if we were watching a children's show, while the first version was created more seriously. And its jazzy sound makes you think that the digital circus could have originally been created for an older audience. This song is no longer suitable for children's entertainment shows, but sounds like it should be played in serious nightlife venues. Some of you may like the original version, and some of you may like the final version, but let's all admit that the version we saw in the final version fits the mood that Gooseworx and the Glitch Channel team wanted to convey. Let's also remember the moment in the intro, when we are shown the glitches in rotating objects. There is the same line all the time, the day after. This moment was also deliberately cut out in the final cut, and instead, we hear two additional lines. Don't hurry to enter this door, because there are a lot of interesting things inside. And then we hear a warning to be careful, but unfortunately, we don't get to know the continuation, because the words stop at the moment when Pomni pushes the other characters. In our case, the first victim was Jax, followed by all the others. Maybe we're talking about the mysterious door that leads to the secret room, and the warning refers to the fact that no one expected the void to be waiting for us at the end of the last corridor in that room. Just for the record, the original version was voiced by Kevin Temmer, and the final version was voiced by Liz Robinette, for which I thank both of them, because both the original and the final versions, although they look different, both sound very good and very cool. I think a lot of people have seen the next scene, but it would be a crime not to mention it in this video. Just a minute ago, we saw the intro of the pilot episode, but not everyone knows that the initial introduction of the characters was a little different, but because of the timing, it was decided to completely change the introduction of the characters and the first version to make a separate promo for this amazing series. And also for a long time on the internet has been walking around a small animation that shows the walk of all the characters. In fact, this leak does not contain any semantic load, and was shown to us only as an element of entertainment, because while Jax, Ragatha, Gangle, and Pomni go the usual step, Kinger as if gliding on the surface, or flying, here you can decide only you. And his dance, because you can't call it anything else, would definitely become popular on social networks. But the funniest walk is definitely Zubal's walk. Just look how she walks, and in some moments you can see that she constantly tucks her leg, apparently the construction that she is far from perfect. Let's take a little break from the video and take a look at the various leak photos, as we have a huge number of them. In one of the photos we see the Gangle room, or the shared toilet. It's hard to tell, because on one side we see a sink and a toilet, but why are there broken funny Gangle masks hanging around? But if this is her room, why does she need a toilet? Because it's obvious to everyone that she doesn't have a body. Instead, she's just a tape. And why would you need a toilet in a room where even the food is digital? As you can see, this leak has left many questions and few answers. But the main thing here is the number of broken Gangle masks. There are 8 of them in total, but it's strange that some broken halves are far away from each other. This means that Gangle doesn't have 2 masks, as everyone thought before, but many more. But what I'm about to say will surprise you. It's actually very strange that only the happy masks are broken, while the sad mask is always intact. Maybe the sad mask is not a mask at all, but Gangle's real face, but the happy masks are the only thing that can cheer her up. Unfortunately, they are very fragile and break at the slightest bump. We also found a funny leak of Ragatha's face on the internet, if I may say so, because this concept art just makes us laugh. But if you think more globally, this leak actually proves to us that there is nothing inside each of the characters. No organs, no tissues, no fluids of any kind. They are just digital shells, but where is their consciousness stored? Write your opinion about this in the comments. And while we are on the subject of Ragatha, it is worth showing you the initial concept of this character. In this picture, we see mostly different scenes with Ragatha from the pilot episode, but there is a very cute version of Ragatha hiding in the corner, as I think this is how she looked like as a child when she first joined the digital circus. But it could be that the characters in this place don't age at all, because they're just a digital illusion. Then it's just an early version of Ragatha that didn't fit the concept of this series. Apart from Ragatha, I found the concept of our missing clown Kaufmo interesting. We see the final image that was supposed to be in the pilot episode, but in addition we were shown a slightly different version that looks really creepy because in this concept, Kaufmo is missing fingers and toes. Yes, and in general, this character would evoke more negative and scary emotions rather than joy and positivity. Now let's take a quick look at how the digital circus scenes were created before the animation began. In this leak, we see a scene where Pomni has just entered the digital circus and doesn't understand anything yet. I think you immediately realized what specific scene this was. By the way, remember the moment when Jax, Pomni, and Regatha open the door to Kaufmo's room? It's a really cool and well-done scene with a lot of different details that are nice to see, but just look at the prototype of this scene. Some exit text, some lines, and a very abstract room. What I'm about to show you is not really a cutscene, more of a teaser, but since not everyone has seen it, I'd like to talk about it a bit. Take a closer look at Pomni and notice the color of her skin. In the teaser, it looks human-like, while in the final version, Pomni's color is completely white. And Gooseworx themselves admitted that this difference in skin color is their mistake. So if everything turns out as originally planned, we would never see Pomni's usual image. Also in the teaser, there is a scene where Kane as a real villain throws knives at Pomni, and unfortunately, some of them hit our poor Pomni. But as we can see, she doesn't feel anything but fear, which proves my old theory that the characters of the digital circus don't feel physical pain, but mostly suffer from mental problems and psychological pressure. After all, even in this scene, Pomni feels humiliated, which is what makes her feel so bad. And while we're talking about Kane, I want to show you his early concepts. In addition to the usual image, you can see some very strange images. For example, in this part of the concept, you can see Kane with 3 eyes and a child's toy in the shape of a bird flying out of his mouth. Usually such toys scream very loudly, so theoretically this Kane could appear unexpectedly for his fun and scare all the inhabitants of the circus very much. But the creepiest thing is this picture of Kane. Not only are his eyes above his mouth, which is very unusual, but look at them. They're completely different, as if Kane stole someone else's eye. Fortunately for us, the final image of Kane was very harmonious and fit the concept of the show. I can't imagine what would have happened if that creepy creature had been confirmed. Now let's talk about the digital circus itself. On one of the leaks, we were shown a map of the area around the circus. A huge lake with a yacht immediately catches our eye. And there is also an amusement park near the circus. Maybe in the future, we will see scenes that take place in these places in one of the episodes. On this map, you can also see a small wooden building that is not immediately obvious. I assume that this building is nothing but the mysterious restaurant where Kane and Bubble spent their time, or it is a so-called hotel where the mannequins live, waiting for their moment to become a new inhabitant of the digital circus. And of course, let's not forget our court jester Pomni. I found some very interesting leaks for you, one of which shows us a funny shot during the creation of the animation. Something is clearly wrong with Pomni. Well, everyone also remembers Pomni's escape scene from Abstract Kaufmo and the moment when Pomni approached the mirror. At that moment, we see Pomni as a nice girl, but originally it was supposed to be different. In this leak, we get probably the creepiest version of Pomni we've ever seen. Well, we've already talked about Pomni being stretched out on a cross a few times in my previous videos, and the fact that it's just a reference to Jesus Christ is probably known to 90% of the viewers. That's it, unfortunately. But I have enough material for one more. Write in the comments what was the most interesting thing you saw. Well, it's time for me to wish you good luck and success and say see you in the new videos that come out every 2 days.